Manly hot glue. Gus is nice and clean, and there will be this flange here. Is that we would take this tacky tape. There it is, all with the fillet wax and some gel coat. Let's chop strand mat, give it a little wet sand and some polish. Done. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. I know it's been a while. Today we're going to be trying something a little different. We're going to be trying to make some carbon fiber molds, or composite molds, if you will. Stay tuned. Okay, so the first thing we're going to try to do is this gas door off of my BMW. I've already removed all the hinge and the gas cap holder and such, so that's already ready to go. And then I also wet sanded and polished this to try to get like as much orange peel out of it as I could. So now this is nice and clean. Yeah, so we can set this aside. This is ready to go, and then all we got to do is start making all this flange. Okay, so here's some of the stuff we're going to need for this. After you get your part nice and clean, you're going to want to get some sign board or some corrugated plastic. I couldn't find anything without print on it, so this is what we're going to use. This will probably come up with the mold, or yeah, with the mold material or the gel coat, but that's okay. After we create this, some of the other stuff we're going to need is going to be this mold release, so we can get the part back out of our mold, and then after that we're going to need some gel coat over the mold release, and then obviously fiberglass or whatever your reinforcement is, carbon fiber, fiberglass, whatever. So yeah, we're gonna get to chopping some of this up and then gluing it to this. So alright, so I have all these pieces cut out now. And we're going to glue them to the bottom of whatever part you're trying to make. So these will sit here, a little bit overlapped off of the edge of here. Just sit on there, and we'll hot glue back here with my very manly hot glue gun. And the basic premise of this, or the purpose of this rather, is that when you put your gel coat and your fiberglass and all that over this, when you flip that mold over, then there will be this flange here, is that we would take this tacky tape once this mold is flipped over, and you'll have a place to put the tape, and then the vacuum bag will be able to stick to that, and you'll be able to do your vacuum infusion for your carbon piece. So I guess if you didn't want to do a vacuum infusion or a vacuum at all, you wouldn't have to have a flange there, although you might want one, so it's a little bit easier to work with. But yeah, that's what I'm trying to do here, so that's what we're going to do. Alright guys, so there it is, all with the fillet wax in there. And the basic idea behind the fillet wax is so that you don't get any of your mold underneath it. So it's just to keep the resin and such from going in there. So it's just like a little tiny bead of wax basically, but it's not, it shouldn't impede like the form of it. I might need a little more there because it looks like it's a little undercut, but basically just to provide a smooth transition between your part and your flange material right here. So yeah, I'll put a little bit more there, and then we'll be ready for the next step. Alright, now it's time to cover this guy in some gel coat. So we're going to mix up this gel coat here, and we need whatever we use here plus 2% of our hardener, which is MEKP, which is this guy. So I have this silicone cup here that we're going to mix it in. That way I can just peel it right out, whatever's left in here that's dried or whatever that I don't use. So put that on the scale, turn the scale on. It'll be zeroed out in grams, so yeah, do my best to put 2% in there. We'll see how that goes. Alright, well, I may have messed up because we've already poured this in the hardener and everything we need for that, but we still have to put the release film on here. So yeah, I'm gonna mix this real quick so that hardener doesn't just mess with the top of that, and then we're gonna clean this off fast, add our mold release, and hopefully this won't be cured by then. Alright, we're back. We have the layer of mold release on here now. You can see all the brush strokes and like where all the little air bubbles were that popped. That's what those little circles are. I think if I do this again, I want to use like some kind of spray gun because it'll come out way smoother. So that's for future try. This is just a more or less a trial run to see if this is possible. Well, I know it's possible, but to see if I can do it and what I need to tweak and what I need to fix. Alright, well, now that we have the gel coat done, now that we have the mold release done, we're ready to use the gel coat. This is stuff I mixed a little earlier. Still looks pretty good. It's about the consistency it was before, so I think it has a pretty long pod life. So we're going to go ahead and use this. If we have a problem, then we have a problem with something else that I'll have to address, but we're going to give it a shot. So from what I've read, this will take a few hours to set up and get tacky. And once that happens, then we can add our fiberglass sheets. So see you then. Okay, so this is after one coat of the gel coat. You can see that, oh, never mind, I lied. It's not ready. Some of the spots are ready. But I'm going to go ahead and do a second coat because you can see, well, you can't really see on camera too well, but there are black spots where you can still see through. So I'm going to do one more coat, and then after it gets back to this point, or a little further, obviously, because this was not quite ready. Once it gets there, then we can start doing the carbon fiber, or I'm sorry, the fiberglass. So this has been here for an hour, maybe an hour and a half. So we're probably looking at closer to three hours after the second coat, and then we do some fiberglass. So yeah, I'm getting there. Yep, I'm gonna mix this second coat. We'll put it on, and then wait. Alright, well, there's the second coat. Looking pretty well covered. Pretty good, pretty good. So we'll let that cure up for a few hours. I'll come out here about 2, maybe 3 hours and then see if it's nice and tacky. And if it's ready to go, we'll continue. Alright, so this layer is now dry. It's actually a little too dry. It's supposed to be just tacky, but I think I mixed the hardener a little too much hardener in here because this thing is solid. So the first layer is not even dry. So we're gonna try to put the fiberglass over here and see what happens. Hopefully the bottom layer will cure the 24 to 48 hours and it'll be good. So we're gonna start on the fiberglass layer now. So here we go. The first layer we're gonna do. The first layer of fiberglass we're gonna do is this really fine glass. I think it's called Angel Hair on the Composite Envisions website. But yeah, we're going to do that so it kind of takes all the contours properly. And then the next layer is going to be this 6.5 ounce chop strand mat. And then I'm going to do two layers of this 13, I think it's 13 3/4 chop strand mat, so to give it a little bit more rigidity, hold its structure properly. Then I'm going to finish it off with this 2x2 woven, I think this is a 3K or something to that effect. I'm going to put it over the top just so it's nice and even and uniform. So yeah, I'm going to get to it. We're going to start with this guy. I'm going to mix up some of my resin. So this is the resin we're going to be using. It's just a polyester tooling resin. It'll dry hard, it dries kind of quick, I guess depending on how much hardener we use. We use the same hardener as our gel coat here. So this one's 1% by volume instead of 2% by weight, so it's a little harder because this, yeah, it's just a pain in the butt, but we're gonna make it work. So here we go. First layer will be this angel hair, whatever you want to call it. It's really fine chop strand matte, so it'll take to all the contours. So yeah, here we go. So we got the first layer down. I did make a slit right here with a nice dirty pair of scissors, which you can see there. So I think for the next set, I'm going to make like a strip for this side, a strip for this side, strip, and then a piece in the middle. And I think that'll help it contour better, especially because this is a thin chop strand mat, and the other stuff's pretty thick. So I feel like I've gotten most of the air bubbles out. It should be good. There's a lot over here, so it's a little better now. But it should be good as far as air bubbles are concerned. Alright, well, that's the gas door finished inside of our front side mold. Now if you're trying to just make the mold for the front side of it, you'd be done. You could pull this out. I'm going to try to duplicate all of these little areas back here. So this in the mold to create this rear piece as well. So we're not going to pull this out yet. That way they match up perfectly how they're supposed to be, and then you can actually use this as like a piece to glue it up too, so they'll like line up properly. So yeah, I'm going to start with adding the wax to these corners right here. There's still in there, but there's going to need to be a little bit more so we don't lock this part in. And then we're going to have to tape up these holes, hopefully in a fashion that I'll be able to untape them properly as well. So yep, I'm going to get started on that. Okay, so this is after the first coat of mold release. I decided to put wax in here instead of the tape, just because it looked better, and I was worried about reproducing some of these little ridges that hold our clips in for our door. So the wax will probably be pretty much impossible to get out of here completely. Might get like 80% of it out, so, but I'm not worried about a little bit of wax being in there. It should be fine. If you are worried about wax in your mold, then, or your plug, I guess, or your original part, probably use some kind of flash tape or release tape, but I'm not really worried about the wax in there. So I'm going to let this mold release layer dry up, and we'll apply one more coat with the brush, and then we'll be ready to do the orange gel coat after that. So. Okay, now we have 2 coats of our mold release on here. Now it's time for our gel coat for the back side of the mold. So I'm going to apply that. We'll wait for that to cure up until it's tacky, probably 1 to 2 hours, depending on how much hardener ended up getting in here. The scale's not the most accurate, so it ends up with a little extra sometimes, which is good, and then it'll cure up a little faster, and we can throw on the fiberglass after that. So let's get to applying this. Alright, that's coat 2. Let her dry. Come back, do some fiberglass. Alright, so here's our second layer all dry. Tacky. So there's a little fingerprint, but it doesn't come off on our glove, so it's ready for our fiberglass and our resin. In the fiberglass, we have the angel hair again. I've chopped all this up this time, so it kind of forms to it a little bit better. We have our angel hair. Then we have our 6.5 ounce fiberglass chop strand mat. And then we have our 13 ounce, which there's going to be 2 layers of this just to give us some strength and rigidity. And then we have our 2x2 fiberglass as well, just to give it like a nice finish, and then so there's not a bunch of little strands of fiberglass everywhere. It's just nice and smooth. So, yep, we're about to do that. Mix up my resin right here, and here we go. Alright, there's the last layer all put on. So now we're just going to let that set up for a little bit. See, whenever this gets nice and hard, then we'll be ready to start screwing with this a little bit. So, yep, that's it for now. Alright, well, this thing's pretty much dry at this point. Both sides. This is like, it's not like sticky, but it's not like perfectly cured yet. I don't know, it'll cure in the next hour or so, but now it's time to, we're going to make like a clean cut here to see, or to get these things lined up nicely, for one, but for two, the resin kind of seeped over my edge a little bit. You can't really tell, but the resin seeped over and there's no release agent on this part, so instead of trying to rip it apart and maybe breaking it, I'm just going to give it a cut just inside the orange all the way around, and then it should release perfectly. So in theory, never done this before, so yeah, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to try that right now. Alright, so now it's cut. Now we're ready to take it apart, see what we got. I might have to fix up some of these edges. I got some glass sticking out, like some paint, maybe like a quick edge of resin, but that shouldn't be too bad. So yeah, let's take this thing apart and see what. Oof, came off very nice. Alright, so we got our two pieces here. Most of that wax came out of here, which was pretty cool. So it shouldn't be too bad. Oh yeah, look at that. Yeah, there's a couple weird spots like here. But I mean, that's the part that's got to get cut out anyway, so. unlike all this, but that's got to get cut out. So it's not terrible. I mean, this is the side you're going to see, and obviously there's a coat of wax on here still, but you can see how smooth that is. I guess once the wax comes up, some of these little bumps might be in there. We could polish this up, and this will be the side you see, so this will be the really nice piece. This piece we shouldn't have to have much, if any, post-processing. No, besides wiping this film off from the mold release. It's good to go. It's ready to make a part on this one, basically. Yep, and we'll see about this. I'll go rinse this off real quick and see what we get. Alright, so this is the part after washing. You can see a little bit of the ripples and stuff from the mold release. So we're going to give it a little bit of a wet sand. I got some 2000 and some 5000 here. So we'll give it a little bit of a wet sand, see what that can knock down, and then have some polish we can use. Yeah, see if that works. This is going to be okay the way it is, because it just has like a little uniform texture on it, but I don't need it to be shiny. And if we do want it shiny, we can wet sand the carbon afterwards, but it'd be cool to get like a perfectly ready part out of this as soon as we pull it out. So I'm going to give it a little wet sand and see what we can make this look like. Well, that's after 2000, 5000 grit and some polish, well, some compound as well in there, and then some polish. So yeah, I think she's done, or as far done as she's gonna be for me. So well guys, that brings us to the end of this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I hope you guys learned something along the way. I'm certainly learning a lot still. I am not a professional by any means at this, so I learned a lot of things, some things I would change, but we'll get there. The reason I picked this part, the fuel door, was that it was relatively small. It didn't have a lot of hard contours or anything, but it also, I needed to make both sides of it, which is something I plan on doing if I ever do like a hood or something, or maybe a trunk lid. You would need like the inner structure to make it strong and rigid. So it's something I want to do eventually with a hood or a trunk, and it's something I can do easily on a smaller scale, and yeah, obviously not for the weight savings, because the fuel door does not weigh that much. So but yeah, hope you guys enjoyed. I'll see you guys in the next one.